Hi everyone, this is Father Warner and we are in Saturday, the third week of Easter, Acts chapter 9 verses 31 to 42. The pericope of today's Gospel has some interesting details to offer us. There are two miracle stories that are both worked by Peter, one in the city of Lydda, modern-day Lud, which is about 22 miles northwest of Jerusalem, and the second in the port city of Joppa. Lydda is located in the midst of a rich and fertile plain. It was one of the most westerly of the Jewish settlements after the exile, the site of which is described as Geha Harshemi, the valley of the smiths or the craftsmen. It was here that Peter healed the paralytic and secured many converts. We read this in Acts chapter 9, 32 to 35. It was not a Jewish town, but a pagan town under the name of Diospolis. The miracle of the healing of Aeneas, who had been bedridden for 8 years, brought about a conversion of unprecedented number. We are told that all the residents of Lydda and Sharon turned to the Lord after the miracle. Sharon was not a town as Lydda, but rather a level tract, the maritime plain between Carmel and Joppa. It was once covered by a great oak forest full of quiet but rich beauty. The man healed in Lydda was merely paralyzed, and yet the results were stupendous. In Joppa, it was a dead girl who was raised to life, and yet the response seemed almost lukewarm in comparison. We are simply told that many believed in the Lord in Joppa. Conversion, as I have said before, is divinely ordained in conjunction with the openness of the human element. Joppa had a large Jewish population, yet it was not open enough to be touched by so great a miracle than the resurrection from the dead itself. Whereas the Gentile town of Lydda was far more receptive to a healing of just a paralyzed man. But Joppa held a special citizen who was deeply loved. Tabitha, we are told, is a disciple, the only woman in the New Testament who has been specifically called a disciple. The very word disciple in Greek, mathetria, the feminine form, comes from the Greek word from which the English word math is derived. A disciple is one who therefore thinks things through like one would in a mathematical problem. Tabitha had evidently won over a number of people. The Bible records her as devoted to good works and to acts of charity. The women of the area thought well of her, for when Peter came, they showed him the garments made by her, perhaps for the poor, or just to share how talented this disciple was. We will never know why the other disciples called for Peter from Lydda. We will never know if they even believed that Peter would raise her. Perhaps they simply wanted the leader of the way to preside over the death of so great a disciple. The miracle stories in today's Gospel show us not only how the early church grew, but the qualities of people within that church, be it Tabitha or her friends who loved her enough to call Peter. Unfortunately, church for many today is a structure and not the ecclesia or the calling out that it was meant to be. Perhaps it is the unbelievers who are more prone to God's working in their lives in simple ways as compared to the many resurrections in our own lives that very often barely moves our own hearts. If you like these messages that we have been sharing with you and the Word of God that we have been breaking for you, I would humbly request you to share this with your friends, with your families, and those around you. You can subscribe to this YouTube channel by simply hitting the YouTube subscribe button. God bless you all and have a wonderful day.